Welcome to the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. This is the source for all things high adventure for scouts, scouters, and anyone else interested in promoting high adventure trips for our youth. You can find all kinds of great high adventure options for your scouts at highadventurescouting.com. We are constantly updating the list of cool trips, and we want your input on your best trip. Welcome, high adventure enthusiast. We're excited, as always, to highlight a high adventure base on this edition of the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. Now, today we're joined by Steve Nelson, Director of Camping for Philmont Scout Ranch. Now, Steve, thanks for joining us today on the High Adventure Scouting Podcast. There's been so many ups and downs at Philmont the past 3 years, and I'd really like to see what's coming up in 2022. And if there's something new coming up in 2023, that's awesome. But what are the status of the programs for 2022 right now?
Yeah, and you talk about the challenges, I guess, that Philmont has had over the last few years with the 2018. And Rob, I fall right along in this because I started in this job as the director of camping in January of 2018.
That's
And
right.
my first season canceled because of the fire. I guess I can't say my season, but anyway, the 2018 canceled because of the fire, and then 2019 we had transferred many crews to that next summer, and we were able to have a great summer. But it was big, 24,029 participants that year, which was about 800 more than we'd ever done at Philmont previously. But we had a good season, but we stretched the infrastructure and we stretched our staff, and then of course 2020, the year of COVID, when all across the country pro camps and those opportunities were shut down, and then we prepared for 2021, which then again was the largest season Philmont has ever had, with 25,001 participants that came through last summer. What we've learned is that we can run program that way, but we'd really rather run that program with maybe more about 18 or 19 or 20,000 participants instead of 25.
I will tell you that, we were there this past summer, and we out on the trail, we didn't really notice that there were that many more people. We were told there were, and sure, in base camp it was busy, but we didn't notice that. So you guys really handled all those extra people well, because as I mentioned before we started recording, this was hopefully it was the third time the charm, because I was getting tired of being the lead trek person for our
Right.
Philmont treks, because it was the third time and I only got to go once. So and I know that was frustrating for you guys also, because here you've got this facility and nobody can come. So it's got to be frustrating. So
Yeah. Well, it was challenging. We had staff members that there's only so many years during your college days that you can spend a summer or two or three or four working at a summer camp like Philmont, and so we were concerned. And probably most people don't know this, but 65% of our staff last year were first-year staff members.
wow.
And so the training of that, and then of course with COVID still affecting us, much of our training had to be online training or Zoom training rather than in-person training. And I'm glad to hear that the program went very well for you, but our staff really worked hard to deliver a great program for participants last summer, under circumstances that were not the best. And we're looking forward to this next summer, 2022, with our participant count will probably be somewhere around the 19,000, maybe up to 19,500 range, which is very doable. We've had a team of our staff that have been working on itineraries and making those adjustments to the itineraries that need to be made. We've not completely finalized those, but they're very, very close right now. We have a couple of camps that we're probably going to rest for a summer because the numbers will not be as big, and we have some opportunities to do that. Um, um, and then I see that some of the things that we started last year, like the hike through the burn scar from Cimarroncita to Sawmill, that will be continued, and we're trying to add. It looks like we're going to add another opportunity that would be kind of through the burn scar, um, but helping us to move people north to south, which we could not do at all in 2019. So we're still working on those programs, and then beyond that is then recruiting and hiring the very best staff that are going to be able to come out and deliver a great program, and using the experience that they had last year. It looks like we've got a good number of staff members that are going to really come in and deliver a great program. Um, One of the things you'll see that we plan on being back in the dining hall, in camper dining hall next summer. We had to do to go meals this last year, and we're looking forward to being back in the dining hall.
Yeah.
Um, we're right in the middle of a very busy time of the year of buying trail food, and then starting getting ready to pack meals. We were actually finalizing the order on arrowhead patches today, so we're getting ready to purchase those for next summer. It's that time of year when we're doing all of the prep work to get everything ready, and get staff hired and get ready to go for the summer.
Well, that's awesome. Now, for 2022, are there programs, or are they basically the traditional, 7, 9, and 12-day treks that most people know about? Are there some that are open at all, or are you completely full for 2022?
No, there are probably openings, especially for 12-day treks. You could probably almost choose any day, and you'd
Hmm.
find an opening. We've added additional 7 and 9 days. There's more demand coming from the field to have more of the shorter treks, and so we continue to kind of adjust that a little bit, and we've added more 7 and 9 days, and we'll do that again here in the next little while. That we'll add a few more to see if we can if there's still demand out there to up those numbers a little bit more. Um, so uh, I don't know that we'll ever go away from the traditional 12-day trek, but I think we'll see in the future, because of the demand on primarily adult advisors.
Yeah.
We'll have more 7 and 9 day treks that will happen.
We all know the major high adventure bases around the country, and they offer some awesome programs. Have you been searching for a cool alternative from your typical high adventure trip? As a scout leader, I want to give our scouts some great alternatives. You need to check out highadventurescouting.com. You'll find information on over 30 different council high adventure bases in 24 states. Maybe you're looking for a do-it-yourself option and need some ideas. Maybe you've taken a great trip and you want to share your good fortune with your fellow scouts and scouters. Just send us the details and we'll publish your trip. Whatever your interest, highadventurescouting.com is the one-stop shop for all things high adventure. That's highadventurescouting.com. Well, the 12-day, you have to really plan, and
Absolutely.
seven days. Okay, that's a week or a little more. 12, we got ours in from a Saturday to a Sunday, the following Sunday, so it was basically 2 weeks. But I work for myself, so I can take off any time I want, but at all, I also don't have a vacation per se. So you have to plan that, and I'm not surprised that people are asking for those shorter treks because of adult advisor schedules. Most
Yeah,
of the time, the scouts don't really care one way or another,
right.
but it's the advisors that need to go along those. So
Yeah, demands on family are there, and one of the things that we have to look at when we go to those shorter day treks is how do we get people acclimated and get them up into the higher mountains without putting them there too quickly. and that's the challenge, especially for 7 day treks, is to get to Summit Baldy on a 7 day trek is really hard because you go up too fast and people struggle with the altitude. Um,
Yeah, that was my main concern the three times I was planning trips out there is uh, being at some type of altitude for at least a day, two preferable, and
mhm,
the way the Philmont treks are usually, building you up to that, so you're not going up Baldy or Phillips the first day. You're going maybe 7,000, maybe 8,000, and up. So that was the one thing that I worried about, and we drove from
mhm.
the St. Louis area where I'm from, and drove through Texas, and there's some elevation through through that part of Texas. So we were able to get that. Not everybody can do that. A lot of people will fly, uh, ride the train, those kind of things. So it's sometimes beneficial to plan an extra day at Philmont to acclimate yourself, and the trip will be much better. So
I agree that especially people coming from low elevation, that to have that opportunity to get acclimated a little bit helps a great deal.
exactly.
Especially that'll become more important as we add more and more shorter treks to program. One thing I wanted to make sure that we talked about, Rob, was the preparedness seminars that we have been offering. We did these all of last year, and we've started again for this season, preparing for 2022. Um, we we put these out on our Facebook page. It's a Facebook Live event that we. I can say that most of it is a live.
Also, I think they're available on YouTube. Is that correct? Also,
Yep,
or am I
there's on our YouTube channel, but they're
okay?
also the easiest place to go find them is on the Philmont website. Uh,
Okay,
there's a button right on the front page that takes you to the preparedness seminars. We still have all of last year's that are on there, and then the new ones will be added as we do the new ones this year.
awesome, awesome. I know there was one of those that you guys lost internet or power or something. I can't
Right.
remember, but those are extremely well done. And those of you who haven't watched any of those, they cover a different subject each time for the most part. So, and it's really specific on time of year. This time of year you're kind of preparing as you get closer to your trek. Talk about cooking methods and other things like that. And they're really good to for not only seasoned advisors but new advisors to really get a handle on what this trek is going to be all about, because there's a lot of planning and you want to make sure you're prepared. If you're not, it's not going to be a fun experience. And so
Exactly. Yep.
I think I'm glad that you guys do those kind of things. I participate in a kind of a similar type event through Facebook with an independent group once a month, and uh, combine those two together, and it's really a good uh, overview of what not only Philmont information they have, but also people who've been there, they've done it, and the type of equipment they've used, the stuff that they don't think works, and not necessarily the things that you are going to cover per
Hmm.
se. What water bottle is best. Well,
Yep. Yeah.
Philmont doesn't really care on that. It's it's personal preference. I have my own ideas on that. So
Yeah, I've watched some of those that are out there, and they are very very well done. I appreciate the work that other groups are doing to help spread the message and help people make decisions on what kind of gear and how to plan and how to do all those things. Um, but I also would encourage everybody to look at the council and unit planning guide that is posted on the website, as well as the guidebook to adventure, which is now days away from being published on the internet on the website, and then will be sent out in March for this for the Philmont specific guidance that needs to be adhered to as well.
yeah, we talked about that on the one of our last uh, Facebook Live events, and I had one. I have one in my I have one in my hand right now from 2021. Actually, I've got them all the way back 2018. And if you can't, the writing in those are pretty small, and those are offered on the website also for those who
Right.
want something a little more little bigger, but this is the kind of the Bible for those going to Philmont because it has everything in there. There's really, if you have a question, it's probably answered in the 78 pages or so that is encompassed there. So I think that's a really good resource, and I'm glad you guys send that out to everybody in the crew. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Well, anything we left out for especially for 2022? What did we not talk about?
There's probably things I would say also maybe to make sure we're paying attention to the youth protection guidelines
Yeah.
as we're preparing for treks of the right type of leadership and male, female, and all those kind of things in the different crews that we have now, and making sure that we're keeping kids as safe as we can and doing that part of it. Which is all in the guide to safe scouting as well as in the council and unit planning guide.
Exactly. So, well, awesome. I think that's all good information. And but say, Steve, I want to thank you for joining us today on the High Adventure Scouting Podcast.
Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. I want to thank Steve Nelson, Director of Camping at Philmont Scout Ranch, for joining us today. You can get more information on their programs at philmontscoutranch.org. That's philmontscoutranch.org. All the information on all the treks, lots of videos can be found out there. So any questions you have, it's probably on the website. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to tell your friends about this podcast. You can find us online at highadventurescouting.com, on Facebook or Instagram. If you have any questions or ideas for future podcasts, just email us at info@highadventurescouting.com. This podcast and website are independent and not affiliated with any youth organization. Happy High Adventure! This has been a production of High Adventure Resources.